When Emma signed the lease for apartment 313, she thought she was finally getting her life back on track. The place was small, yes, but it was hers. The whitewashed walls, the faint hum of traffic below, and the quiet anonymity of the building felt like a clean slate after months of sleeping on friends' couches. The realtor had smiled too hard when handing her the keys. "It's got character," she'd said, pausing just a beat too long. Emma noticed that the other apartments had curtains drawn tight, even at noon. Still, after everything she'd been through, the breakup, the job loss, the panic attacks, she told herself she needed peace, not people. The first thing she unpacked was her kettle. She made tea, sat cross-legged on the floor, and listened to the refrigerator click on and off. Every sound felt amplified in the emptiness. The faint echo of her own breathing, the buzz of the ceiling light, the whisper of the wind pressing against the balcony door. At around midnight, she heard something else, a soft tapping. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more. She froze. It came from the wall behind her bed. The neighbor, she thought. Maybe pipes. When she pressed her ear against the plaster, the tapping stopped, replaced by a single, drawn-out scratch. The next morning, she opened the front door to find a folded piece of paper on the mat. "Keep the noise down!" She frowned. She hadn't even turned the TV on. Maybe it was meant for someone else. Still, that night, she spoke softer on the phone, walked lighter, tiptoed like the floor might bite back. At 2 a.m., she woke again. Tap, tap, tap. She banged her hand against the wall. "Can you stop?" she shouted. Silence. Then faintly, a woman's voice whispered through the plaster. "Please, help me." Emma dialed the superintendent. "There's someone in the next apartment," she said. "Not possible," he replied. 313's the last unit on that floor. The wall you're talking about backs onto the old service shaft. Nobody there." Her stomach twisted. She thanked him, hung up, and turned on every light in the place. She didn't sleep. By morning, she convinced herself it was stress. She'd been off her medication since moving. Her prescription had run out, and she didn't want to see another doctor, not after the last one had written hallucination episodes, unresolved trauma, in her chart. 2 days later, she bought a cheap mirror from a thrift store and hung it opposite her bed to make the room feel larger. That night, the tapping returned. Rhythmic, insistent. She stared into the mirror. For a second, just one, she thought she saw someone standing behind her reflection. A woman, pale, eyes wide open. Emma spun around. No one. But the reflection lingered half a breath too long before following. The bathroom vent rattled whenever she showered. One night, over the hiss of water, she heard whispering. 2 people, low and fast, words blending into static. She leaned closer. The vent blew cold air that smelled faintly of iron and something sweet, like rotting flowers. "Emma," one voice said. She stumbled back. "Emma, open the wall!" She slammed the vent shut with a towel and spent the night curled on the bathroom floor, lights blazing. When dawn came, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Why did you stop listening?" On the 4th day, she met a man in the hallway, gray hoodie, tired eyes, carrying groceries. "You new here?" he asked. "Yeah, 313. He hesitated. That place was empty a long time. When she asked why, he just shook his head. "You should keep your door locked." That night, the tapping was louder, almost frantic. She pressed her palm to the wall. "What do you want?" she whispered. A woman's voice replied, trembling. "He's still here." Emma went digging. She found old records online, a news clipping from 5 years earlier. Tenant found dead in apartment 313. Police suspect domestic homicide. The victim, Clara Hayes, 27, no arrests. The article mentioned a neighbor who'd heard repeated banging on the shared wall. Emma's hands shook. The layout diagram in the photo showed something strange. Her bedroom wall wasn't supposed to exist. There should have been a closet there. She borrowed a hammer from the janitor's shed. The first strike against the plaster sounded like thunder in the quiet apartment. Dust filled the air. Behind the drywall was old brick, and carved into it, deep and uneven, were words. "Help her find me." Her pulse roared in her ears. She swung again. A section of plaster broke free, revealing something metallic underneath. A latch. She pulled. The bricks opened inward like a door. A smell hit her, damp, decay, and something unmistakably human. Inside was a narrow cavity, maybe 2 feet deep. A mirror faced outward, and behind the glass, a woman's body, mummified, frozen in mid-scream. Emma stumbled back, fell, vomited on the floor. The mirror's surface began to fog from the inside. She called 911. The officers arrived, searched, photographed, and sealed the wall. They told her it was an unsolved case. The landlord claimed ignorance. One detective, a tall woman with sharp eyes, asked if Emma had been taking any medication. That question again. She said no, and the detective wrote something down without responding. By morning, the wall was patched, as if nothing had ever happened. But the mirror on her bedroom wall now showed faint fingerprints. From the inside, the tapping came back the next night. Softer, slower, almost comforting. She whispered to it. "Clara, are you still there?" No answer. until her phone began recording on its own. The waveform flickered as a voice murmured through the speaker. "You opened it. Now he knows." The lights went out. She ran into the hallway barefoot. The building was silent except for the low hum of the elevator at the far end. When the doors opened, a man stepped out. Hoodie, groceries spilling from a torn bag. The neighbor. But his eyes were blank, pupils clouded white. He dropped the bag, jars shattering. "He never left," he said softly. "Who?" He pointed at her door. "The one who built the wall." Emma tore through old records again, this time at the city archives. The building's original contractor, Daniel Hayes, Clara's husband. The renovation permits ended abruptly the same year she died. No record of Daniel afterward. Except one note, scribbled in the margin of a maintenance log. "Mirror frame installed. Do not remove. Containment only." A week later, Emma noticed a hairline crack running across her bedroom mirror. At first just a sliver. By evening it spread like a web. From behind the glass came faint tapping, just like before. She whispered, "Clara, if you can hear me, I'm sorry." The tapping stopped. Then, a voice, softer than breath. "He's not in the mirror anymore." Midnight. 3 knocks on her front door. She peeked through the peephole. No one. A second later, the inside of the door knocked back. Her reflection in the hallway mirror smiled, though she wasn't. "You let him out," it whispered. Days blurred. Emma stopped leaving the apartment. The walls pulsed with every heartbeat. She painted over the mirror with black acrylic, but the paint peeled overnight, revealing faces underneath, hers and Clara's, merging. She started hearing her own voice whispering things she didn't remember saying. The apartment smelled of dust and lilies, the same scent that had clung to Clara's preserved body. When she looked in the mirror now, sometimes she saw her childhood bedroom, sometimes the hospital room where she'd once been treated for anxiety, sometimes Clara's corpse. Reality was folding in on itself, quietly. The detective returned. "We reopened the Hayes case," she said. "We need you to move out for a few days while we re-examine the wall." Emma nodded numbly. She started packing. But that night, the detective's card number appeared on her phone. An incoming video call. She answered. The camera showed her own apartment. The detective stood in it, flashlight sweeping across the cracked mirror. Then the camera jerked. The detective screamed, and the call cut to static. When Emma dialed back, the automated voice said, "This number is no longer in service." The next morning, police knocked on her door. "Detective Mara was found dead in the service shaft behind your wall." Emma stopped eating, her eyes hollowed. She spoke to the mirror like an old friend. "I understand now," she whispered. "He built this place to trap her soul, but she's not the one haunting it." The reflection nodded before she did. She picked up the hammer again. Each swing sent shards across the floor, her own reflection fracturing into dozens of pieces. Behind the mirror, instead of a cavity, she found another room, an exact replica of her own, lit by the same flickering bulb. And standing inside that mirrored apartment was herself, smiling. "You took my place," the other Emma said. "No," she whispered, trembling. "You're me." "You were," the reflection replied. "Now you're the one inside." The glass sealed shut. 2 weeks later, a new tenant signed the lease for apartment 313. A quiet young woman named Clara. The realtor smiled too hard again, pausing just a beat too long. "It's got character," she said. As Clara moved her boxes in, she noticed a hairline crack in the bedroom mirror and faintly a pair of eyes watching from beneath the surface. Tired, desperate, but still alive. Emma tried to scream, but no sound escaped the glass.